Okay, we are now live. Pardon me. Just gotta get my microphone over here. Right. Okay. The live stream is now going on. We have 8 likes on the video. Things are going well, and I'm quite happy about this. Right. Okay, let me just promote the live stream and send it to my social media pages. And we'll get on with the live stream. I know we're a bit like 6 minutes, 5 minutes behind, but that's alright. Namaste to Ingestochter, who's a moderator. Okay. Live now. Alright. Yeah. In good time, I'll get better at doing these live streams, you know, because, like anything, you know, these things take time, right? So, right. Let's see who's here so far. Who's watching? We got 7 people watching. Fantastic. Alright. I'm happy about that. Live. There we go. So we got 10 people watching. Fantastic. Alright, so this video, or this live stream, I'm glad this is a live stream and not just a video, because, like, a video like this is really meant for me to hang out with you guys and celebrate the fact that this channel has hit 23,000 subscribers, which blows my mind, you know. So, forgive me for the loud typing if it's loud, but, okay. Let us, once I get that posted on there, and I can sit back and really chill with you guys, or to put it to angle chill. Cringy, but whatever. Okay. Namaste! Okay, namaste, Oatmeal Man. Popped in to say congratulations, keep up the great work. You deserve it all and more. Well, namaste, Hare Krishna, Jaya Shri Narayana, Westhu Hall. Be thou whole. Oh boy. Yeah, I have to say, I'm very thankful for all the people who have come into my life through you know, with this channel. For those who have been subscribed or not subscribed, you know, viewers, you know, people that come by and see the channel, because every like, every view, every you know, comment, that matters. That does matter. You know, like some people think, oh well, then it's so insignificant. No, it is significant to some degree, more than one realizes. You know, so I'm very grateful that that all of you guys, whether you've just found me, been with me a year ago, 3 years ago, or have been with me from the very start, and the very start is actually 8 years ago. I've been doing this for a while, right? So I've been really at it for a while. I'm just going to read the chat now. Congratulations on the achievement, mates. I just went into my 3rd year at university and taking Old English. Yes, for one of my classes. Your channel has been a great help. Oh my god, that really warms my heart. You have no idea how that makes me happy, because that's what I intended learn in the Old English to be, a place where people can come, you know, like some university students, you know, like, you know, have some, you know, get help in their homework or whatever, but and also even more, you know, like know some phonology and know some stuff about Old English. By the time they get back to the class, you know, they impress their teacher. Whoa, where do you learn that? Well, learn the Old English. That's not your. Oh man, sometimes I make myself laugh. Oh man. Okay. Oh man. Thank you, Jacob. Oh man, yeah, cause Old English is such a. I mean, Old English. I mean, the language of our ancestors, right? You know, like people spoke this like 1,500 years ago, and it just boggles my mind that we have like from the historical record, enough of it out there that you can like create your own content in it. You know, like it just it makes me like kind of looking back and like what I did, you know, and but the key thing is, what's something like Old English, you know, it requires a lot of focus. It requires a lot of patience, a lot of determination, persistence, and all these qualities that require strength within. Alright? Because this stuff is not easy. But when you start to understand it, you know, it gets, it does get easier like anything else. And, you know, but someone might say, oh, well, what's the practical thing behind it? You know, I learned this language. Yeah, but the thing is, even if you don't do anything with it, that's okay too. But what you are gaining from it, let's say you were to learn Old English and then decide, you know what, I want to move on to something else, you do gain that mental and intellectual stimulation, you know, because Old English or any historical language, it requires to use parts of your brain like organization and things like that, and like compartments and this and that. That can help in other areas of life, you know, it's having that mental challenge, right? And also learning a historical language like Old English can help one to cultivate discipline, because it's not easy. You know, there's no Duolingo for Old English. I know a lot of people have asked me about that, and my answer is still no. And I made a video dedicated to that, and I won't go on about it here, so sorry about that. But anyway, but Old English is quite fascinating. The fact that we can have an eye into how people thought back then, and the cool thing is, you know, the fact that there's so much of it out there that has survived. You know, create your own content, but even then, that requires plenty of determination. But so new literature can emerge, you know, because you know, like, because I just know that with what I'm doing, that by the time, let's say somebody were to be really immersed into like quote unquote new Anglo-Saxon literature, and they get well versed in that, so by the time they actually read something from the 9th century or what have you, it's not as foreign. It's very familiar, you know. So I guess that's a big plus to take away from this channel, you know. And but as this channel, you know, it's been having quite the journey, and you know, it goes to show that when you don't give up, you know, you succeed. Because thing is, a lot of, you know, the sad thing is that when people give up on something, they usually give up just before they actually make it. You know, that's something to remember, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're striving for something, and it's hard, it's difficult, and you feel like you're not getting anywhere, well, in due time, you will get there. Sometimes you just have to take a step back, you know, or to make an analogy, it's like you're looking at a painting with your nose on it, but if you were to take 10 feet away from it, you could see the whole thing, right? So with Old English, you know, just don't give up. Like with anything in life, you know, it'll help you. It'll help challenge you in a good way. Because anything worthwhile in life that's truly of great importance does require patience, effort, time. How sincere are you? Do you really want to learn Old English, or is this some, you know, entertaining pastime, you know? So. But yeah, that's right. So Inges Tochter Atmani Vedana says a quote from that says, "We never give up," by Sri Dharma Pravartika Acharya. That's right. We don't give up, you know, and we succeed. as you know, this channel has gone through many successes. You know. Guten Abend, Nea Freya. Ich bin sehr glücklich, dass du bist hier mit uns. Yes. Oh, for those of you who don't know, German is actually my fourth language. Yeah, it's but my German, how can I word it? I'm very much inspired by Austrian German because the S's are like English S's and the D's at the end of words are D's. So like, you know, wir sind, you know, it's a bit easier than wir sind, as one would say in Hochdeutsch in Deutschland. Yeah, but yeah, Old English is one cool thing. It's like I've said this before, but I'll say it again for those of you who haven't heard me say this before. That Old English, it's like a Swiss Army knife of Germanic languages. So yeah, if you learn Old English, by the time you look at German, Dutch, Icelandic, or any other Germanic language, like, oh, yeah, that looks like Old English, or this reminds me of Old English, or something like that. Okay. Yeah. Wir geben niemals auf und wir werden gewinnen. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Right. Oh boy. I'm having a good time. I hope you guys are having a good time too. We're 12 people watching. You know, for those of you who just popped in, you know, this is meant, you know, just to hang out, chill, and just celebrate channels, celebrate Old English. You know, and yeah, it's just, I'm very thankful to all of you, as well as I do want to say a quote, and this is very important, that I have to say this, that and it goes as follows: whichever action is performed by a great man, common men follow in his footsteps. And whichever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So, with your own example, ladies and gentlemen, you never know who's really paying attention to you. You know? Like, oh, so-and-so, you said this thing to me 5 years ago, and I never gave up because of what you said. And you'd be like, what? What did I say 5 years ago? You know, but or what have you? You know, like we all have something we're passionate about, that we're expert in. You know, so yeah. I'm just forgive me if I get a little distracted with the live chat, because this is really cool now. Like, you know, I was just thinking, you know, I should have these videos, these celebration videos, as live streams, you know, otherwise it's just me, you know, just you know, just like just talking, you know, right? Okay, all right, so we have a question here from D Nihilus. What's the finest text in Old English? The finest? Well, the finest. I mean, Like, let me ask you this: do you mean like finest as in like I'm trying to think like the best text? I mean, well, it depends what you're looking for. If you want poetry, oh boy, quite a few of them. A lot of poetry out there. Or prose. Because the thing is, you can divide Anglo-Saxon literature, or dare I say old British German literature, but okay, that's for a different time. I won't get into that, but you can divide the literature between prose and poetry. So for those of you who are not familiar with the term prose is essentially not poetic stuff. So this would be like legal deeds. This would be like how can I word this? You wouldn't have like alliterative verse where the words would start with the same letter. Like for example, like a historical. No. How can I give an example? Like a better example of what a prose text would be. Like something talking about philosophy, for example, would be in prose. Well, then again, some things poetic can be, some philosophical things can be poetic, but yeah. Or like okay, so for example, in the Leech Dome, how can I word it? Like how can I word it? Where all the like the charms and all that. Some of it where it's just like it's very like instruction oriented. Like, oh yeah, take this and do that. You know, that's not poetry. That's just like that would be in prose, for example. Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, yes. Yes, that's an example of a prose. Thank you, WS. Yeah, that's right. Cool. Mitchell, I'm very glad you're here. I'm very happy you're here because Mitchell, you've been with me for a while, and like it just makes me so happy that I'm happy that anyone who pops up here, even if one who is very dedicated to the channel and happens not to be here, that's okay. That's okay. You know, no obligation. You know. So and don't feel bad you have to leave early or whatnot. I won't be offended or anything like that. I mean, I intend this thing for going maybe for an hour or so. Who knows how things go, but yeah. Yeah. So, oh boy. All the questions are coming in now. So, oh, my head. So Pavlos Apostol says maybe Vespian's Psalms or Beowulf. Well, it depends what you're looking for. I mean, like as far as like poetry, I mean Beowulf is really good for like alliterative verse and like kennings and stuff like that. And for those of you who don't know what a kenning is, it's like a really creative compound word. So for example, a word for body would be like bone house, you know, like Bahnhus or something like that, you know. Or the way to describe the ocean would be like whale road, you know. So yeah, people in the past were more creative back then. Well, arguably, yeah. But yeah, I would say Beowulf because Beowulf has so many layers to it. It's more than just the story of like the hero from Jatland, who goes to Denmark and all that does all the cool stuff. You know, you got like the history between the Yatas and the Swedes. You have yeah, there's many layers to it and whatnot. So Beowulf is you know the fact that we have it, you know, it is quite amazing of itself. You know, Vespian Psalms. I haven't looked too much into that. When I think of the word Vespian, I think of like Mercian text or something like that. I haven't delved too much into that, but yeah, I can't really say that. So the finest text, yeah, I'm tempted to say Beowulf, but like there are other texts out there. I mean, if you want, for example, a good prose text, I would say Alfred's translation of the Boethius is Consolation of the Soul. Like that's a good example of like prose. If you want, but also if you want some more prose stuff, you can look at also Alfric's or Alfrich's Lives of the Saints, where I need to say this now. So Alfred of Wessex, King Alfred of Wessex, he's 9th century. Okay, this is where we get old, early West Saxon, whereas Alfric, or Alfric, he's more or less 11th century, so around the 1000s and whatnot. And he is what is called Old Late West Saxon. So for those of you who are starting or thinking of getting into Anglo-Saxon dialectology, that's a good thing to think about, because there's a distinction between you know the language of the West Saxons, in the 900s as opposed to the 1000s, right? So yeah. So anyway. So yeah, if you have any questions about Old English, now's your chance. Or Germanic languages in general. Apart from that, I'm just gonna talk about the channel and whatnot, and how grateful I am that the channel has become the way it is. So yeah. Anyway, because this channel, how can I word it? The fact that I've used my creative wit with it, which, looking back, I'm really glad that I've done that, just to show that you can play with the language, I'm just thinking now about the songs I've done, because the channel of itself has a very diverse audience. Because you get people that are into Old English because they want to, there's one group of people, I'm just interested of like the origins of English or this or that. I want to know, how people sounded in like the 9th century England or whatnot. And then you got people that are, just more interested in this language in general, like polyglots or whatnot. So there you got two groups of people, and then you got the people that watch this channel because they're involved in Anglo-Saxon spirituality, pre-Christian Anglo-Saxon spirituality, so they want like content on like the gods or this or that. By that, like worship music and stuff like that. People would come to this channel for that. So you got those three groups. As well as, I don't know. I mean, that's the three I can think of right now. But I'm pretty sure that people come to this channel for all sorts of reasons and whatnot. So, Nea Freya, do not feel bad. This is not like I'm not expecting any questions or anything like that. Don't, we're here to hang out. We're here to have a good time. So let's angle chill. All right. Okay, so Mitchell asks here, Beowulf is often a student's introductory to Old English. I think it's great. But is Beowulf really the best introduction to Old English, or would another text be better? Mitchell, I agree with your sentiment, because I believe I said something similar years ago. Because thing is, with Old English or Old British German, the thing is, when you introduce a language to someone, you don't like show them like sophisticated poetry with alliterate verse and like really the things that really require esoteric, explanation and this and that sort of thing. That's what Beowulf is. And you'd like I'm just thinking now of like an ESL course and whatnot. They don't start off with like like Shakespeare, or like some like soliloquy of Shakespeare. No, they start with like okay, how do you pronounce the vowels? How do you pronounce like the consonants and stuff like that? No, you need to start from the very beginning. But would another text be better? I'm trying to think. Well, I'm tempted to say the biblical stuff, because it's the sentences in the biblical stuff is the Christian material is very the prose stuff is very easy to read. It's much easier to read. Yeah. So What would be a good text? Okay, well, actually, you know what? Boethius. No, yeah, I'm just thinking now. Boethius's, Alfred's Boethius's translation. Alfred's translation of Boethius's Consolation of Soul. In that, there's a story, and I made a video on this, of like the Greco-Roman story of what's her name? Orpheus and Eudice. I can't. I'm butchering the pronunciation, but of how you would say it in present English. I only know it in Old English. Yeah. So yeah, I would recommend that because that's in prose, and like you kind of can see the language in action, or whatnot. So yeah, that's yeah, and it's like Greco-Roman, so it's like it's cool, you know. So okay, um, so Inge's Tochter has asked, is it helpful to know German before learning Old English? I mean, yes. If you know German before going to Old English, it will help you, no doubt about that. But it can't solve everything for you. You know, because thing is, to understand anything, you have to understand it on its own terms. You know, you can't throw in your mental speculation and be like, okay, well, I think it's this or that. And before I get into that, there is a little thing I need to explain, and this is very important in general. And this is called half-hand logic. Okay. So half-hand logic. What is this? So, let's say you have a farmer, and he has a chicken. All right. The farmer likes the chicken's backside because that's the part that gives eggs, but he doesn't like the beak of the hen or the chicken. Well, I'll say hen from now on. Beak of the hen because that's the part he has to feed her. And it's very unpleasant. But if you were to cut off the head, well, he won't have any eggs. Therefore, he must accept what he likes and what he doesn't like about the hen. Similarly, when one is studying Old English, Anglo-Saxon literature, Old British, German literature, that he must accept everything that's there, the parts that he likes and the parts that he doesn't like. So, to get a full picture. But a lot of people tend to pick and choose what they want and or add or subtract and expect to have the same answer. But anyway, I just thought I need to say that when it comes to in relation to studying to Old English, you can't be German centric, so to speak, or high German, standard German centric. I mean, it could help, but you know, you would have someone who has a German background and gets into Old English would have an easier time than somebody who's a native speaker of English. And a big reason for that because German has three grammatical genders, so does Old English. German has the inflected case system, so does Old English. So if you're a German speaker, learning Old English for you is I would think would be fun. Not only fun, but like in some weird way like another dialect of German. Oh boy. Okay. So in other words, treat Old English as Old English, and despite the fact that it has many similarities to German. All right, so where was I? So what's the hardest part of Old English to learn? Verbs, cases. Oh dear, that's a good question. That's a good question. I would say like it's the inflectional case system is quite difficult. I mean, the thing is, each aspect of Old English has some nuance and being able to play with it and understanding the field. You know, like when you get into Old English, you have to understand the field, and this is why I stress so much on getting a grammar book. because you can't go into Old English and thinking it's like modern English. You can just like say what you want and expect it to be good. Whereas somebody would see X thing, and be like, okay, well, this person doesn't understand Old English grammar. So the inflected case system applies to not only just nouns, it applies to adjectives. So it requires a lot of practice, and even further, nouns can be divided not only by grammatical gender, but whether strong or weak, and how you decline them. Same thing with yeah, because that's important, because and declining adjectives, whatnot. So that's something to bear in mind. Strong and weak. Well, yeah, I believe there's strong and weak adjectives. Hang on here. Yes, there are strong and weak adjectives. I just need to, of course. Yes, strong and weak adjectives. Like for example, child is masculine singular in the nominative, and if I were to say that in the strong, accusative singular, be a child now. So anyway, of course there's weak and whatnot. So the inflected case system, I would think, would be a big hurdle for a lot of native English speakers. But not impossible. Also, grammatical gender may not be that unfamiliar, but then again, language learning, easy or hard, is really dependent on the student's prerequisite knowledge. Like I was saying earlier, if you have German as your first language and you get to Old English, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of it will be very familiar to you. So, anyway, Mitchell asks, which texts best bridge the gap between Old English and Middle English? Are there any? Oh boy. I'm thinking of. Why am I thinking of Lehman's Brute right now? That's a Middle English, but whether that's a gap to Old English to Middle English, it's hard to say, because the later Old English texts I can think of now are like stuff from like old late West Saxon. And as for the Northumbrian texts, the later Northumbrian texts date from the 10th century in the 900s. Lindisfarne Gospels and partly of the Rushworth Gospels. Whether it's hard to say, but you can. I would say. I'm not so sure how to answer that. I mean, because I have dabbled into Middle English here and there, but not as like extensive as I've done with Old English as far as looking at the corpus. And for those of you who don't know, the term corpus is to refer to the body of literature. Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. So Mitchell also says, what helped my understanding of Old English more than anything was simply speaking it out loud every day. I don't know why, but suddenly the grammar started to feel natural. Great. I'm so glad you said that, Mitchell, because that's what you said there could be applied to any language, really. When you practice it out loud and not just on paper or on the screen, or whatnot. So yeah, it just becomes natural. Similarly with my catchphrase, "What's if you haul a shot to Kevin?" What's if you haul a shot to Kevin? It's just been saying it so often, so it just and goes natural and whatnot. So and the inflected case system is quite ingenious. Like especially with the dative or the instrumental case or whatnot. Because in Old English there are 5 cases, whereas German has 4. And the 5th one in Old English is instrumental. And the thing is, when you know how that works, having a preposition that takes the dative is kind of redundant when already it's sort of implied when you put something in the dative, whatnot. So, yeah. We got another question from Hades. He says, he asks, is it no, he says, it's not a question, it's more of a statement. He says it is possible to reconstruct the Vandalic language with Gothic and Proto Germanic, or this language was a dialect of Gothic. Interesting. Vandalic, okay. The Vandals. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the word vandal, as in like the term we know today, is someone who, does crime or whatever, goes back to the Vandals, a East Germanic tribe who sacked Rome. They had their kingdoms like Northern Africa, I think, which is pretty impressive of itself. Or what have you, yeah, the Vandals were something else, and their language, there's only it's very loosely attested. I mean, we're talking about a language where we have the names of a few kings, and a few words in a Christian text or whatnot. So, yeah. Yes. WS, the Ormulum. Yeah, I was thinking of that too. As far as like a Middle English sort of close to Old English or whatnot. But then again, when we say Old English, Middle English, these are two huge blanket terms. What are we really saying? Because I'm glad that I'm bringing this up now. This term Old English was coined by Henry Sweet, right? And, but this is only in relation to Standard English, right? Like, it's the same thing with a lot of these linguistic labels. Old High German is in relation to Modern High German, Standard, whatnot. And they think, the Standard is just one singular entity, and whatever came before that must be the same thing too. That's the logical conclusion a lot of people think when they get into this stuff. But when you actually dive into Old English, you start to begin that it's not just a single entity. Rather, it's a dialect group. Hence, after realizing this, especially with my study in Old High German, which of itself is more accurately to be understood as a dialect group, same thing can be applied to Old English, or dare I say, Old British German, right? Because most of the literature we have from the Germanic tribes in Britain is from the West Saxons, and Old English and the English that we speak now, so to speak, comes from from Old Mercian, right? That's the true ancestor is. So that would be more accurately Old English. But but as far as scholars are concerned, on Old English, a lot of it is imbued or colored by Henry Sweet, and it's pretty interesting when you look into the history of the scholarship of Old English, or if you will, Anglo-Saxon. That Old English is a term coined by Henry Sweet, and what have you. But anyway, so Nea Freya says here, all I know about Old English is from your channel, and it sounds so natural when you speak. It's fascinating to me as a German native speaker to feel the meaning before I read the translations. Yeah, because you can hear something in Old English for a German speaker. It's oh, that's like that word in our language, but the meaning's a little different, or this or that. You kind of get you can sense the relation, ich heiße, ich hoste. Okay, we can take it without diving too deeply, you can kind of get what that means, right? Or if I were to say, well, du bist, or du bist, um, you know, like you start to realize that it's like variations of like the same language, but well, the West Germanic language, but anyway, God, so many things are coming to me about the verb to be, because thing is, Old English, or Old British German, if you will, in relation to the other Germanic languages, because even in the Old West Saxon literature, you have, and I believe Kentish literature as well, you do have the R verb, the art, you know, let's say you are, was singular, thou art, you have that in Kentish, you have that in, what's it called? Old West Saxon. So Old English, if you will, or Anglo-Saxon, or what have you, is really, and also you have at the same time, you also have sind, or sint, you know, like, or sindon, like to say we are, you know, like on the continent you have sind or sint as well. But what I'm really trying to get at is that Old English, if you will, is that hybrid, is that smack in between, as far as like north and south, as far as the verb to be is concerned, you know, and yeah, because the more north you go, the more R's you get, you know, in Icelandic today, it's like what, þú ert, they say you are, singular, and you know, and even and not many people know this, but like the verb to be, even in the old High German dialects or what have you, or even today, or even the like bist of itself, you know, that is actually the R verb, but the R turned into an S and the B got inserted, right? Because in Gothic, you don't want to say you are singular, but like I think it's thu is, whatnot. I believe so. Yeah. So. I mean, what I'm saying now, Eduard Sievers goes into detail about this, and it's quite interesting how the verb to be is and whatnot. You know, like, you know, because even in Old High German, you do have a to be conjugation in the plural of birut. You know, take away the b there, you got irut. You know, so like wir birut, or something to the effect of that. You know, like if you have art in Old English, and then, you know, so I don't know. It's just it's fascinating how vowels and consonants, they change over time, and it's oh man, it's just a mental gymnastics, and so this is what I mean about like Old English getting into historical languages. It will train your brain. It will exercise your brain. It'll help you think critically. It'll help you think more deeply and more, you know, yeah, more sophisticated, if that makes sense. You know, so. Yeah. It's just because I can imagine, just going back to the verb to be again. I'm just thinking about like it could very well be that at some point somewhere you could have like a conjugation of like thu irt, because you have art, you got art, yeah, you got art, ea, and you have, but it also in Northumbrian, you also have like I think you got arth as well. So I don't know. I mean, this is, oh boy, I don't want to go too much into it, because we can go on and on and on about the verb to be. And the main thing I wanted to say is that Old English is kind of like that smack in between of like the R and sind conjugation of the verb to be, which is really interesting of itself. So, and like a lot of these continentalisms, if you will, have like have just moved to just a different place or whatnot. So, yeah. Oh boy. I hope you found that interesting, guys. That little discourse there about the verb to be. How I can get a chance to nerd out with you guys about this stuff because. But to be fair though, I don't know everything about this stuff. There's a lot I don't know. You know. Despite the fact that I've been into this for 8 years and I'm still learning more about Germanic phonology. So, which is it's a growing. I would say it like the scholarship in it is quite prevalent. So. Mitchell asks a good question here. When did people begin studying Old English? In other words, when was Old English rediscovered? Oh, that's a good question. I know I'm going to answer this question imperfectly because I know there probably is someone out there who can answer this better than I can, but I'll do my best. So, Mitchell, well, right into the 11th century, because even there is a text called I forget, something to the effect of like Ulfric. He wrote a grammar, like of Old English, like what's in Latin, but it teaches you Old English, which is really cool. Or maybe it's in Old English, but it compares with Latin because that's the only other language that was more like prevalent and whatnot. So but I do want to say that from what I do know that, but then later on, how can I word it? Like there are Old English grammar books that like go back to like I think the 1600s or something like that. Like Old English scholarship has its it started really far back as well, or the 1700s. I can't remember which. I remember finding an Old English grammar book from many hundreds of years ago. So it's not just the 19th century where you have like people like Henry Sweet, or the thing is too, or these other people like Joseph Wright. Joseph Wright, he's a little later. I think he's like early 20th century. And for those of you who don't know, Joseph Wright, a man I really adore, was Tolkien's tutor for Tolkien's tutor for Gothic. Yeah, and it's really cool that you can read his grammar books on Old English and whatnot, but I do have to say that when you get into the scholarship and looking at the history of the many grammar books or books on historical phonology for Old English or this or that, a lot of them are written by Germans. Which I find fascinating. So many Germans, or I shouldn't say, well, and I'm using that in the wider sense of German speaking. They could be from Austria, they could be from Switzerland, I don't know, but like so many of them are German, which is really fascinating of itself. Like my favorite among them is Eduard Sivas. Zivas. I mean, he's really good. And it really goes to show that other people from other cultures really admire our language of our ancestors and whatnot. Similarly, how many of us from the English-speaking world have looked into Old High German, right, or Old High German dialects. As an aside, I will plug my second channel. My second channel, called Learning Old Germanic Languages, is dedicated to every old Germanic language apart from Old English. And so this would include the Old High German dialects, and within that includes Old High Frankish, that includes Old Saxon, sorry, Old High German dialect. My bad. Why did I say Old Saxon? Also, Old High Frankish, or if you will, Old High Franconian, Old Bavarian, Old Alemannic. These are within the Old High German dialects, Old High German, if you will. The second channel also has some stuff on Old Saxon, Old Frisian, Old Low or / North Frankish or Franconian. That's where Old Dutch comes from. And even then, Old Dutch is a questionable label of itself, similarly with Old English, but that's just me sidetracking myself right now. And for Old, and there is some Gothic on there. As for Old Norse, there might be one video on like me singing a song in Old Danish, well, Old East Norse, if you will. Anyway, but yeah, so you know, it's funny how like some people, they see like Old English as something like separate from like the rest of the Germanic languages, but when you really dive back, or the further you go back, you start to realize how similar they are, and how we have a lot of we should have like a close connection. Because I'm just thinking now, I mean, the Angles, they came from northern Germany, southern Denmark. You know, like with the place what we know now is Angel and Schleswig Holstein, you know, and you know, a lot of shared history. I mean, a lot of, not many people know this, but like a lot of Germany's classical like a church history involves the Anglo-Saxons and the Anglo-Saxon mission. So, you know, we have a lot of shared history. It's just a lot of people don't know about it. You know, like for this sort of stuff, you have to kind of go out your way to find it. You know? But the fact that it's out there, I mean, you know, it's not hiding from you. I mean, if you want it, it's out there. If you're willing to have the patience and sincerity to find it, go ahead. So, when was Old English rediscovered? I do, just to go back to your question again, Mitchell. I know that Tolkien, he taught Old English. He taught Old English in the 40s and 50s, I believe, in the 20th century. And it was because of him that people started taking Beowulf more seriously. I could be wrong about that, but I remember reading that somewhere. You know, Mitchell, I think I should look that up. I think I should learn more about the scholarship of Old English. Yeah, because that'd be something to look forward to, and also as like a tribute, like and an honoring of our ancestors, and an honoring of the people that actually cared enough about this stuff, like to write about it, and the fact that we have access to their works now in 2020. 2022, you know, and beyond, and the fact that we can have, you know, through like databases and stuff like that. I mean, it's all out there. Well, not. Anyway, just want to read some more. So Nea Freya says, I'm tempted when I see the name Freya, I like it written in that way. I'm tempted to read it like the Old English way, because the diphthong, the long ea. Especially the long EA from Proto-Germanic ow. So like with me being a nerd and looking at this and pretending it's Old English and pretending those diphthongs at EA are from the Proto-Germanic ow, makes me want to read this as a now frau. But that's just me being a nerd. I don't know why I said that, but I don't know. Giving you guys an eye into how my brain works. Anyway, so Nea Freya says here, what you are doing here is very important for reuniting the kindred who lost the knowledge of their true origin. Language is a strong bond. That is very correct. And thank you for your kind words, because that's another thing on this channel too. And my second one too. I want to connect people to their history, because a lot of people in this day and age are lost. You know, they you know, escapism. You know, they play too many video games. They drink alcohol. They, you know, drugs and all these terrible things. And I will say boldly that yes, alcohol is a vice. You know, is a vice. You know, but Kevin, you know, but our Anglo-Saxon ancestors, they drank mead and whatnot. Well, yeah, well, we're in Kali Yuga, buddy. So, you know, Anyway, age of conflict. But for those of you who don't know what Kali Yuga means, but anyway, it's just the point is what I'm trying to say is that this channel and my second one are meant to be a place where people can, as a wholesome place, intended to be something wholesome. You can connect with their linguistic history. It's better than wasting time, destroying yourself to the point of debilitation and whatnot. Because I want this channel to be uplifting. That's why I say the things I say. That's why I made that video, Defend Your Semen. Because, and speaking openly against pornography. Because a lot of people, it's like normalized to destroy yourself and destroy your mind and whatnot, and through these debilitating things. Of course, people do these things because let's be honest about it, they're in pain, and they're looking for something to relieve that pain, and so but of course, I'm very glad that I'm really proud of myself with Old English and the fact that that I've learned enough of it to be fluent enough to create this content, to create wholesome content, to articulate, dharmic ideas, all right, Vedic ideas. And for those of you who are not familiar with that, I'm talking about making a reference to what is called Sanatana Dharma, which is Sanskrit for the eternal natural way. If you want to know more about that, check out the channel Dharma Nation. So that is DHARMA space the nation, as in like a nation state. So NATION nation. So Dharma Nation. When you look at that channel and then come back to Learnada, the stuff that I'm saying will make much more sense. Okay? So, I will say that. Okay. So Alex Metz here says, hello, I just want to say how I love your channel. I wish you every success. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Maya says, congrats on the 23K subs. Oh, thank you. Jay Magician says, I just found your channel a couple days ago, and I've been studying Old Norse for almost 3 years now. And I finally got around to Old English, and your videos help a lot. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you're going from like another historical language that is Germanic and getting to Old English, then it's like, oh, cool. This is like kind of like almost a variation of the same. Well, I gotta stop myself there because Old Norse is a little different from Old English. It's not exactly the same thing. It's definitely not the same thing. I mean, no two people are the same. What to say of two historical languages? Old Norse has its, lack of a better term, deviations from Old English and whatnot. But yeah, that's really cool, man. I'm really glad that my channel's helped you. Cool. Then we have Abhiram. I too have been watching the channel recently, and I love the content. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. And Nayafreya says, thank you for reminding me of the other channel. So there are no videos missing here. No problem. I mean, my second channel, oh boy. Again, like the second channel, like this one, is meant to connect people to their history because in the past, to find out about this stuff, historical languages, or this stuff like that nature, you have to go out your way to find it, and even then, you would have to go to academia to find it. Well, now in 2022, you just go on YouTube, type in Old Bavarian, boom, you find something. Type in Old Frankish, or Old High Frankish, or Franconian, you'll find something, and it'll be done in an easy, digestible way, and you'll find links to actually learn it and study it on your own time. That's because So, and I've said this in the past that I hope with learning Eald English and by extension my other channel to make our world a better place. I mean, imagine like I don't know, like a show or a skit or something, a video where like they actually speak only in Old English or only in like Old Northumbrian or only in Old West Saxon or only in like what have you. You know, that can happen, but that requires a lot of work. We have still have a long way to go. You know, to make a world a better place. And more interesting and whatnot. It's like a historical period show can only do so much when it's in present English. Of course, a show has its own motivations of just having that entertainment value, right? So anyway, I'm just reading now. now, Frau. Sounds very interesting too. Okay. Oh boy. She also asks, I was thinking about the Merseburg charm. Would you mind to recite it at the end of the live stream? At the end of this live stream? Well, this channel, this video is about Old English, but hang on, let me, oh boy, hang on, Merseburg charm, oh boy, okay, I would have to dig through my PDFs, to find it, but yeah, the Merseburg charm, for those of you who are not familiar, with that, the Merseburg charms, there's more than one, it's mainly two charms, and these are Old High German, well, they're actually Old Middle Frankish. That's the dialect. Well, Lino Armitage, he puts those charms in that category, given its features. Because I don't like saying, oh, it's Old High German. People think, oh, okay, so this is in the, like, the ancestor of German, when it's not really that simple. Because, present day Hochdeutsch has its own history, right? So, more accurately, to say things as they are, Old Middle Frankish or whatnot. So, I just need to find it. Hang on. Okay, well, yeah, I'll recite it at the end of this live stream. So that'll be my carrot at the end of the stick, guys. So if you stick around long enough, I'll recite that text in Old Middle Frankish. That's Old Middle Frankish. Not old, but in the larger under the larger umbrella of Old High German, Okay, right. I love how you blend Germanic and Hindu cultures, or should you say Vedic cultures? Because Veda means knowledge, and because I am a practicing Sri Vaishnava, and behind me is a picture of Lord Sri Krishna. Because there's a lot we can learn from the Vedic literature, and it's better to call it Vedic and not Hindu, because the word Hindu has its own connotations and own history, which I won't get into here right now. All right, so okay. Let's see what things other people are saying. What's the hall, Kevin? How are you? Who art du? Ich luvia din film. Ich am well, thank you, and ich hope that du art well also. I love your videos, and I studied Old English from you for a while now. Cool, thanks, man. Thank you, Cybermaster. Violence is Life says, congrats. I like watching when transcribing my textbook. Sweet. Fantastic. Cybermaster says, congrats on 23K subscribers. You deserve all the support and love. Thank you so much. People are creating ways to spread knowledge is the best part of humanity, says Life. Okay, cool. What do I think of Chomsky? Oh man, I've heard that name so many times throughout my linguistics degree. Um, uh, what do I think of? I actually don't have an opinion of him yet, because I need to. You know what I need to actively sit down and actually read about him, you know, or just watch videos about him, you know, to learn what he's about. You know, I mean, I can't. I'm sorry if I don't have a satisfying answer at the moment. So yeah, because I've been so entrenched with old Germanic literature and just creating content within the languages and stuff like that. So, okay, so Jay Magician says, yes, I will say it was a little jarring to hear Old English after being so familiar with, familiar with Old Norse pronunciation. Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Yeah, because it is different. It is a little, because they're two different languages, right? I mean, they're, you know, so, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hail Woden. Yeah. Hail Woden. So. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So. Well, La Verda Stringo, thank you for your kind words. You know, I'm very happy that I do what I do, because I know that I make other people really really happy, especially with my recent videos, like on what is Old Mercian and recently what is Old Northumbrian, because I just know that there are a lot of people out there from Midlands of England, or dare I say modern Mercia, um, uh, you know, or people who live in like lowland Scotland to like northern England. I would imagine a lot of them would want to know more about where their own dialect comes from, right? And again, like in the past or even today to some degree, that to find information on this stuff, you really have to go deep into like academic, databases or this or that to find anything on it. But now it's going to get easier, so okay, let's look for okay, hang on, how can I word it? Hang on, let me just forgive me and let me just do a little search, so I'll be prepared by the end of this. So while I'm looking for the Merseburg charm, which I will read for you guys at some point later. If you have any questions, you can, or anything you want to say, I'll just hang on. Okay, so Germanic languages. Looking at my own video now to find the PDF that actually has the text, so I can just read it. Yeah. Anyway, Merseburg charm. Okay. Oh boy. Wait, what am I doing? I can just. Okay, this is embarrassing. Like I have the PowerPoint. I can just read off the. Oh my god. Because my initial plan was to read from the find the PDF. When I realized, Kevin, you can just like open up PowerPoint to the file where you made that. Okay. Sometimes I have brain farts too, ladies and gentlemen. I am human. I have my own limitations. All right, I'm not a many-limbed demigod who can perform all these wonderful feats. So yeah, okay. Okay, what was I looking for? Okay, right. So learning old Germanic languages. Okay, Old High German. Where is it now? Text. Merseburg charm. First charm, hopefully. Okay, that's one of them. Okay. I'm sorry if this is taking a little longer, because I did not. This is like unexpected, on the fly. We're having a good time, guys. So just relax, you know. So hang on. All right. So that's the first charm. Then I'll get this. Get the second one. Okay. Cool. Now I got them out. Fantastic. Okay. Let's see what you guys are saying, and hopefully you guys are behaving yourselves. Okay. Okay. So, alright, so, Inges Tochter, Atmani Vedana says, what will be the next video you are working on? Well, a video that I would like to get done, because I've finished the slides for a video regarding why the Saxons called their language English, right? So, and going more in depth about that. So, no, Neafria, don't feel bad. No, we're having a good time here. No, don't worry. I want to do it. I want to, you know, spice things up a bit. You know, so, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. What was I saying again? I kind of forgot. Yeah, so, yeah, the video I'm going to be working on, definitely, regarding why the Saxons called their language English. So, yeah. Okay, right. Read the PowerPoint. I always think that about where does the progressive tense in English came from, since it isn't characteristic from the Germanic languages. Well, the thing is, the ing, like, how can I word it? Because thing is, there's the ing as a noun form, like, how can I give an example, like, in modern English of this, like, his doing, or his making, that is his thinking. That word there, his thinking, that is in a noun, but as an abstract noun. And we have this in Old English as with the end, the suffix, the suffix ending of ung, ung, and in other West Germanic languages, it's like unga. Yeah. The washing. Thank you, Life. That's a better example. The washing of I don't know, Grendel's clothes or something like that. Yeah, so that would have, in Old English, that would be ung, you know, on the continent it would be unga, you know, yeah, and it'd be a feminine noun, because in Old English, and by extension other Germanic languages, abstract nouns, like ideas, tend to be feminine. Why that's the case, I don't know. And more concrete nouns tend to be masculine, but it's not that simple. Like, I just wonder, why in Old English is the word for hand feminine? Like, what's going on there? You know? A good example, Inges Tochter, of Waschung. Yeah, see, even in German today, they still have it. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have German as somehow as your prerequisite knowledge language, and you get into Old English will feel like another dialect, you know, an andere dialect. Anyway, I don't know. Can you prove that you are not a mini-limdemic? Okay, cool. Right. Okay. You make me laugh, Life. Alright, so... Fisho. Welcome, Fisho. Welcome to the channel. Welcome. West through Hull. You asked the question, what made you learn Old English? Oh boy. Um, the initial interest, started back when I was in like the end of high school or secondary school, and it was my desire to know where English came from, and it also came with the desire to being able to read and understand and recite Beowulf, with the intent of like doing that to my future children, should the latter happen. You know, like that's what kind of motivated me to learn Old English and in the first place. But of course, I'm still learning now, and it's a wonderful, Old English for me it is like the best thing I ever got myself into, because it's such a deep, deep rabbit hole, and it keeps on getting deeper. You know, it's because it's more than just a language. It's a worldview. It's like for example, like the word for world in Old English is middenjaard, like literally middle yard. That's where Tolkien got his Middle Earth from. And this middle yard is synonymous to Bhuva Bhumandala in the Vedic cosmology, how like we're on the middle plane and whatnot. So it's not just made up and whatnot. There's some real deep ancient origins to this stuff. So I find so Old English is one cool language. Yeah, and the word world, from what I understand as we know it, because in Old English, in the Old High German dialects, it's weralt, and that's a compound word of like man, and age. So age of man. So weralt or werald, So, and wer means man, as in well, if you will, also masculine being, if you will, because if you want to say something is masculine in Old English, by extension other Germanic languages, it's like werlich or werlich. um, you know. So, and for the feminine, if you want to say something's feminine, speak wieflich. So, yeah, what have you. But anyway. Oh boy. Okay, so we got. Yeah, and it's interesting because we have middenjaard in Old English, we have a mittelgard in the Old High German dialects. We have Mythgother in Old Norse. We have uh, Middel, Middelgard in Old Saxon, I believe. Or no, the G would have been a maybe probably. I'm not so sure. Or would it be no? Would it be palatalized? No, I don't think so. Oh man, the thing is with historical phonology, I mean, it keeps me up at late at night. Apart from Old English grammar, historical phonology keeps me up at night. No, it's oh boy. Oh, that's cool. Cajun French. And your dad studied Old English. He gave me gave you that. That's so nice of him. Yeah, that's so cool. That's very nice. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the Cajuns, little history lesson. Their origins are actually in what we would call now New Brunswick, in Canada. What happened was well, they were actually Acadians, or to use the term Acadien, in the French, and they didn't pledge loyalty to the king of Britain at the time, and so a lot of them got sent to Louisiana, and well, at that time it was under France, but but anyway, so the French, so the Acadians that stayed and the Acadians that stayed in what's it called, Louisiana. They are what we know now as Cajuns, with their variation of French. Yeah. So, to some of you, that might be a surprise, but that's what little I know about the. Yeah, there you go. Acadien and yeah, that's right. But here we are on a channel about Old English. All right. Yeah. And I will say this, but the word French is actually a palatalized variation of Frank. So, Kregenfort. Oh my God. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Oh wow. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you to say, especially to come from you, man. Because yeah. Yeah, it's I've been at this channel for 8 years now, and it's nice to really hit 23K. You know, for those of you who don't know, Krejen Ford, his channel is about like all things like Indo-European and stuff like that. So, Krejen Ford. So that's CRECGANFORD. So. Be sure to check his channel out because he's a very warm guy, and very kind, So there's that. Yeah. So yeah. So I've been at this for 81 minutes now, so an hour and 21 minutes more or less if I can do math or maths. But I think this will be a good time to potentially end things off. And without further ado, as for Nea Freya's request, I will recite something in Old Middle Frankish, or if you will, Old High German. And it's the Merseburg Charms. Where is it now? So here's the first one. Eire sassun iddi sassun here duoder, som haft häftidun som heri letsidun, som klubodun bikunio vidi, insprig haft bandun infar figandum. So that's the first Merseburg charm. And here's the second one. The second one, in my opinion, is a little more interesting because it has... You'll hear why. Here we go. Fall in the wardan, forun si holza, du wart demo badres folon, sin fuos birenkit, du bigolen synthgund, sun swister, thu begolen fria, fol syster. Thu begålen vårdan, så he våle konda, så se ben renki, så se blåt renki, så se lidi renki, ben si bena, blåt si blåda, lid si glidden, så se glimmede sin. Thus ends both Merseburg charms in Old Middle Frankish, under the bigger umbrella of Old High German. So I hope you, ladies and gentlemen, enjoyed that. Even though this channel is about Old English, Anglo-Saxon, or dare I say, Old British German, which the latter label is to emphasize emphasize the Germanic varieties in Britain as a dialect group rather than this one single mono entity as a ancestor of present standard English. So, alright. Thank you, life. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end it off here. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you all of you who have supported me. Whether you're a patron, non-patron, subscriber, not subscriber, viewer, or no longer viewer. You're probably not here anyway, but thank you anyway. Thank you everyone so much. This has been a fun time hanging out with you guys. All the best. Yes, and Namaste, Jaya Sriman Narayana, Hail Woden, Hal Vastu Woden, and all that. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care, and good night. Vastu Hal, Vasafi Hal.